Hello and welcome to Follow Everton. I'm Ryan, the host for today's video, and we're going to be looking ahead to Everton's trip to Crystal Palace on Sunday. Now, Everton are looking to build on their fantastic comeback win against Arsenal. It was 2 goals ruled out by VAR, but that was not enough to stop Everton going ahead and taking all the 3 points thanks to Damari Gray's late winner. Now, Everton are coming into this game with a little bit more confidence, I'd say, compared to the previous fixtures. And you'd hope that we can now build on that Arsenal win and move forward now with a positive mindset and all get behind the manager. Now, we are going to talk a lot about some of the things that have been going on recently, including Marcel Brands' departure and the fallout between Rafa Benitez and Luca Dean. And I'm also going to touch on a couple of other things that I think are very relevant. But first, I'm going to turn my attentions to Rafa Benitez's press conference from this afternoon. Now, Rafa Benitez confirms that Calvert-Lewin's back in individual training, but still no sign of him for the next week or so. And Yerry Mina is injured, and I don't expect we're going to see him until next year now, because you know what he's like. And Rafa is very, very closed off when it comes to these sorts of things. Tom Davies should be back in training next week, which is a good positive sign, a welcome boost to the team. But other than that, and the return of Suleiman Rondon, who's yet to score in 10 plus appearances for the Blues, Everton very similar in squad to the side that won, obviously, against Arsenal. Obviously, it's important we get Calvert-Lewin back, and it's really pleasing to hear that he's back in individual training again for the third time. And obviously, we're going to miss Yerry Mina, but I think Mason Holgate did okay against Arsenal at times. And so I think perhaps we might be able to be okay for a couple of games. But we need to get Yerry Mina back fit. We need to find out what's wrong with him and get him back fit. I am told it is a different injury to the one that he sustained. So it's not a re-injury. It's something else. It's Rafa Benitez described him as injury prone. So team news looking very similar to against Arsenal. And I think that's a good sign in a way, because we can try and keep some continuity. Now, the big question is over Luca Dean. He is fully fit. But as I alluded to a moment ago, Rafa Benitez has had a falling out. I don't know why it's still saying that it's theme starting in a moment. It should say hit like, a comment, and subscribe. Luca Dean is fully fit. So for me, you're talking about a player, France's left back. And I would be looking on social media, and there's talk that Juventus and Atletico Madrid are interested in him. And that just shows really what his true level is. Should he leave Everton, he would obviously be going to a Champions League, a top club, really. So we've got to find a way of getting him back in the team and tell Rafa basically, some of these players are too good, and you've got to get the best out of them. We can't afford to have someone like Luca Dean on £120,000 a week, vice captain of the club. So he should be able to speak his mind with that in mind. But vice captain of the club, he should be, in that squad. No excuses. I don't care what Rafa says. If Luca Dean's not at least on the bench, I'll be absolutely furious with him. Now, a few things I picked up on Rafa's press conference. Talks about a lot of running. He said that we outran Arsenal. It was the first time in 4 years. It was the most we've ran in 4 years. But I'd rather be tactically smart than doing a lot of running. And the reason I say that is just because, and I'm going to bring in a comment from a friend of mine, Will. He's saying we need to start 3 in midfield. He needs to tactically adjust. And Will, you're spot on. And this is what I mean. I don't think we need to have someone like Allen and Decore just running around chasing shadows, pressing needlessly and leaving gaps, the likes that Odegaard went to score from against us, and plenty of other chances arose from. I think we need to have an extra midfielder in there. And I think that's added protection for the defence. It can allow the fullbacks to get forward. And the numbers are in there to win the second balls and to sustain some pressure against Crystal Palace and support the striker. I think that's our best formation, 4-3-3, with the players we've got without Calvert-Lewin. There's an argument that Richarlison could play on the right side of midfield and Damari Gray on the left with Rondon up front. For me, I personally wouldn't go with that. I'd stick with Townsend for this game. Richarlison down the middle and Demarai Gray on the left, and I'd start Andre Gomez alongside Alan and Doucouré. And I think that gives you the best balance really moving forward of legs, bit of technical quality in there, players who want to get, because Alan naturally wants to press. And I think by having the three in there, that will allow us a little bit more solidity for him to go and do that. So tactically, he needs to adapt. I don't want to see a 4-4-2. I don't want to see us leave huge spaces in the middle, because the minute Alan goes and presses, we are completely exposed. Yes, we were better against Arsenal in that regard, but I think in the midfield, if we have the three in there, we will be better. We will win the second balls, and we will win the ball up higher, and we'll be able to just play better, and we won't have such a soft centre, and you've still got players out wide. So for me, I like that. I think 4-3-3. I would bring Luca Dean back in. I don't see any reason why you could not play him. In terms of his quality, Godfrey and Michael Keane in defence with Seamus Coleman. Obviously, it picks itself. There's not really anyone else. And in that midfield, obviously, we alluded to Andre Gomez giving his first start alongside Doucouré and Allen with Demarai Gray, Richarlison, and Townsend up front. Now, Townsend's got to start delivering, because for me, he's been off the boil for about this entire run, I'd say, these last 8 games since the United draw. I've been disappointed with him. So I want to see a bigger performance. You could argue Anthony Gordon should start against Palace, but I think I'd like to have him as an option off the bench. I think that will help us. And he didn't really have a good game against Arsenal, Anthony Gordon. I thought he was very quiet. So I'd be inclined to drop him for this game and bring him off the bench and stick with Townsend for now. Going back to his former club, point to prove. They let him go. Stick with Townsend, and I'd have him to score for sure. So I'm going to talk about some statistics between the two games. Crystal Palace haven't won in the last 13 games against us, and we've won we're 10 games unbeaten at Selhurst Park, which is a good run. It's actually the only been battered twice at any away ground. They are Preston, 1897 between 1897, and 1911. And when we didn't lose for 11 games at Liverpool between 1899 and 1914. Wow. Last time they beat us at home was 1994. I mean, I don't want to jinx it, because I know these statistics, people don't like them too much for those reasons, but it is looking favourable. They're one of the teams we seem to do quite well against away from home. Obviously, we're coming on the back of one victory in the last 9 games. So you can hardly say it's good form, but we really need to pick up the 3 points. And I'd like to see us obviously get on the score sheet, because we haven't scored in 3. We haven't scored in the last 2 away games. And at the moment, we need to pick up the points, because Doucouré's got more points from speeding than Everton on the pitch. Also, if we lose, it would be 17 games in the same calendar year. That would be the worst run in 16 years. That's really bad, especially considering the away form, was our best away form in the Premier League era last season. So I want to see, got to avoid defeat, I think, as a bare minimum against Palace, and to try and sustain some momentum. It says also we've won the most points from losing positions this season, which is quite interesting. 10 points from behind. But it just shows, are we starting a bit sluggish? And do we actually need to go behind to get a reaction out the players? If so, that is a concern for me. Jay says, if we can put in as much fight as Palace as we did against Arsenal, then we can get 3 points. But the fans need to get behind the team. Correct. I think we've got a couple of thousand going down there for the game. Unfortunately, I won't be at that game. I'm working, but I will be able to watch it. And I'm going into it mildly confident now that we can pick up the 3 points and a couple of goals to nil for sure. Also this week, obviously, Marcel Brands left the club. I did a separate interview on this. And I think my overarching comments were that if he had been allowed to do his job, and if he has had that opportunity to do his job and implement footballing philosophy, transfer policy, recruitment, and everything to do with footballing matters, if he's had that responsibility and these are the results, then of course he's got to have, he deserved the sack. But I think from what we've know, and from, I've got friends who know people who work for the club and around the club and know people who, have been involved. And Marcel, I think he's one of many voices in a system where he doesn't really have the overriding authority on everything. He didn't want Rafa Benitez, and you can see why, because Marcel's left. Some of the players and transfers that he recommended in the summer from his department were completely vetoed by Rafa Benitez, who wants his men, which in the main I think is quite a prehistoric way of thinking. But Rafa's extremely stubborn, and I think it probably has fallen out with Marcel Brands to some extent, the same way he's fallen out with Luca. And yeah, they're going in different directions. Obviously, Marcel probably, I would imagine, wants to focus on youth and buying cheap, selling high, and investing in the right way, and having a modern coach who can implement a style. I don't think he's been allowed to do it that well. Yeah, I know. Obviously, the Iwobi and the Bernard and all those sorts of deals have been poor, but were they his, really? Are you sure they weren't just Mashiri's vanity signings? We heard that the Iwobi one was a recommendation from his friend, Kia. I can't pronounce him, but one of the Iranian super agents. And recommendations, and completely lost my trail of thought. But yeah, Mashiri, the Bernard one. I do think these are all vanity things from Bernard, from Farhad. It's quite difficult to do the videos on your own, to be honest. Can't get the fucking staff, can I? So transfers, I'm not so sure he was the most successful overall, but you can credit him with signing Luca Dini, Yerry Mina, Richarlison. Obviously, Gomez been unlucky with injuries, but looked like a great player up till that point. You should have argued that maybe they should have, a few failings and not really signing, not getting good deals and getting some of the big earners off the wage. But look, that's a separate video. It's a separate chat for you to think about. But Brands has gone. Head of recruitment apparently are also going. Greta Steinson and some of the staff involved. So, and also obviously we've just the Dan Donaghy, who's been at the Everton for 15 years. Rafa shipped him out. So make of that what you will. Director of football, head of medicine or physio or whatever, but quite a significant role, and head of scout, all gone thanks to Rafa Benitez. So it's a difficult man to trust with pretty much the whole control of everything. Personally, he'd be one of the last people that I would be wanting to basically oversee everything to do with Everton Football Club. I think Rafa Benitez is a gobshite, and I'm learning that more and more all the time. Yes, I've been fully behind him, but the more I see these sorts of things come out, the fallouts with Luca Dean, the fallouts with the director of football, and the sacking of the head of medicine, and etc., for me, I'm thinking he's a bit of a wanker. And I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt for a bit longer, obviously on the back of the Arsenal win. And I think let's see how he gets on. I haven't gone in, people watching this channel, I haven't gone in heavy on Rafa Benitez really at any point. I've not called for the sack, but I just think some of the things he does really pisses me off. Like, he's so coy about injuries, and he dodged the bullet about the Luca Dean question today. Just really dislike the guy at the moment. So let's fingers crossed for three big points against Palace. So obviously good on the pace, good counter attack from Crystal Palace. I think they're better this season under Patrick Vieira than Roy Hodgson. I think it's a little bit more progressive. And they're sitting in their kind of usual spot, 16 points. They're 14th in the league. They're actually worryingly close to us. If they beat us, they can go above us, which says a lot. I'm just trying to see what else there is to talk about before I let you go. Any more comments, please send them through right now. Pickford, he's dropping. He did dirty sheets. He said more dirty sheets than a hooker on a good day. Thanks for that, Jay. Just looking at Palace's recent results, they lost to Man United away from home. Beat Wolves at home, but that was at the start of November. They lost to Leeds. Actually, have been really struggling. Lost to Villa at home, who have been up and down. Drew with Burnley away and beat Wolves. So it is up and down. It's typical mid-table, typical lower mid-table. And I think Everton really need to go there, and they should beat a Crystal Palace side. Let's be honest. They should be beating Palace. On paper, we've got the better players. I don't think we've got enough injuries to hide behind that as an excuse if we don't get a result. We showed against Arsenal we've got enough quality there. I just think, shore up that midfield. Don't let us get so exposed. Don't allow Palace to go from defence to attack right through the midfield so quickly in transition because they have got pace, and we will play into the hands if we play two there. I've got a feeling Rondon's starting up front with Richarlison, and I don't think there's anything we can do about it. Guys, thanks for watching. Keeping it short and sweet today. It is me on my own. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. If you haven't liked the video on YouTube, Facebook, or wherever you're watching it, by the way, we can't see any of the comments that come through on Twitter. They just don't come through. So if you're watching on Twitter, which I know people do, you need to go over to YouTube, subscribe, or Facebook, search for Follow Everton, like and subscribe. Very quickly, Steve Richardson, sounds like anyone that comes up against his ideas get the chop. Yeah, bear in mind, he fell out with the people in China. He fell out with the people at Newcastle, and he was sacked as Liverpool boss because he wanted full control over pretty much everything to do with transfers. So Rafa Benitez pisses a lot of people off. Giving him the benefit of the doubt for now, but these are big calls from Everton to get rid of, and the board is exceptionally small at the moment. There's only the three of them: the finance manager, Bill Kenwright, and Denise Baxendale. So, yeah, I think we might see an appointment. And I know there was some calls for Simon Jordan, but let's be real here. He took his Crystal Palace team into administration, and I do think, obviously, Simon, he talks a lot of sense, and he resonates, I think, with many people. Certainly when it comes to Everton Football Club, who he claims has a massive affinity to. But I'm not sure, despite being Bill Kenwright's friend, that will be the direction that we go in. Guys, thanks for watching. Have a lovely weekend, and be sure to like and subscribe. Thank you. Take care.